Act 1. Into the Wilderness. July 1924. Mount St. Helens looms in the distance, its slopes wrapped in dense pine forest, its canyons cutting jagged paths into the earth. 2 miles east of the peak, a small band of miners stake their claim on a remote vein of gold. Fred Beck, Gabe Lefevre, John Peterson, and brothers Roy and Marion Smith. Their camp is nothing more than a one-room log cabin, built by hand from pine and sealed with moss and mud. They call their dig the Vander White Mine. By day the men labor in the sun, picks, shovels, sluices, dreams of striking it rich. By night they rest in the cabin, rifles always nearby, but almost immediately the wilderness begins to whisper back. For days the men hear strange sounds echoing through the ridges. Shrill whistles, high and piercing, answered by other whistles across the canyon. At other times, booming thud like fists pounding a great chest. Then come the tracks. Enormous, human-shaped footprints press deep into soft soil. Some measure 19 inches long, the stride longer than any man's, the depth heavier than a mule's. The miners are uneasy, but they keep digging. Fortune, they hope, is just one strike away. Act 2. The First Encounter. One afternoon, Fred Beck and Hank, his nickname for one of the men, leave the cabin to fetch water from a nearby spring. The path is quiet. Too quiet. Suddenly, Hank shouts. Beck looks up the canyon. There, 7 feet tall, covered in dark hair, a figure stands, half hidden by a tree. Hank fires 3 shots. Bark explodes from the trunk. The creature darts behind it, then reappears further down the canyon. It runs upright, long strides, covering ground with uncanny speed. Beck raises his rifle. 3 more shots ring out. The figure vanishes into the forest. That night the men argue. Was it a bear? A prankster? Something else. The vote is to stay. But unease settles heavy over the camp. Act 3. The whistles in the dark. As twilight falls, the shrill whistles begin again. A call from one ridge, an answer from another. The men huddle inside the cabin. The door is barred with a pole ripped from a bunk bed. Rifles rest across their laps, then silence. A silence so heavy it seems to press in through the cracks of the log walls. Midnight approaches. And then the first blow lands. A massive thud shakes the cabin wall. Dust and chinking fall from between the logs. Another strike, the roof groans. The men leap to their feet, rifles ready. Hearts pounding. Act 4. The Siege. The attack begins in full. Stones strike the cabin, rattling the roof, bouncing into the clearing. Smaller rocks, thrown again and again, clattering against the logs. Footsteps circle in the dark, heavy, deliberate. More than one set. Beck says he saw 3 figures together. But the noise suggested more. Then, a crash at the wall. A hairy arm bursts through a gap where the chinking is loosened. It gropes blindly inside. One of the creatures seizes an axe leaning against the wall. The miners rush forward, striking the arm with rifle butts. Marion fires. The arm recoils, a guttural roar fading into the night. Outside, the creatures pound the logs with fists. Rocks hammer against the roof. Then something climbs onto the shakes above. The weight bends the rafters, groaning under the strain. The men fire upward through the ceiling. Muzzle flashes light the cabin. Smoke fills the air. Hours pass. The attacks come in waves, a barrage of rocks. Silence. Then pounding again. The men whisper prayers between shots. Beck would later write, "We expected to be torn apart before daylight." Act 5. Dawn and desperation. Just before dawn. The forest falls silent. The pounding stops. The cabin is scarred. The roof shakes battered, stones scattered all around. But the attackers are gone. The men stagger outside, rifles clutched, eyes darting. Then Beck spots movement. At the canyon's edge, about 80 yards away, a figure stands tall against the morning light. He raises his rifle and fires. Once, twice, 3 times. The creature teeters, then topples over the edge, plunging into the gorge, 400 feet below. There is no celebration, only fear. The miners gather what little they can carry, tools, supplies, even gold, left behind. They flee the canyon, desperate to escape. Act 6. The world reacts. When they reach Kelso, Washington, the miners tell their story. Newspapers seize on it. "Ape men attack miners," the headlines cry. Reporters dub the gorge Ape Canyon. The name sticks. Forest Service rangers investigate. They find no bodies. They do find tracks near the cabin. Ranger William Welch calls them unusual. But skeptics suggest they could be faked. Some claim it was bears. Others, hysteria. Still others, an outright hoax. But Fred Beck never recanted. In his later account, written in 1967, he insisted the creatures were real, and he added a strange twist. They were not merely animals, but spiritual beings. Creatures on the edge of our world. Half physical, half phantom. He called them mountain devils. Act 7. Legacy of Ape Canyon. Today, the cabin is gone. Wildfire, weather, and the eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980 erased all trace. But the story of Ape Canyon endures. Hikers walk the trails. Cryptid hunters swap theories. Some search for proof, others for the thrill. What happened that July night in 1924? Did 5 miners truly fight for their lives against unknown creatures? Or did fear, isolation, and imagination turn shadows into monsters? The truth remains hidden in the mist and trees. But one thing is certain: the legend of Ape Canyon still echoes across the mountains of Washington.